Good morning and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily if you're new here, and if you are not new here, welcome back. So for today's video, it is now January 1st, so Happy New Year. I am so excited to see what 2022 brings for me. I already know it just has to be leaps better than 2021. I think 2021 was probably, like, aside from a few really great things, probably the worst year of my life. So I am holding high expectations for 2022, but for this video I wanted to just go through my December book wrap up and what I plan on reading in 2022 January. Don't know why I worded it like that. That is what this video is going to be. So I'm just going to start off with all the books that I read in December, and then we will head right into what I plan on reading this month. Also, I really hope you guys don't mind the lighting. I know it's a little bit weird, but I did not feel like setting up my light. We're using natural gloomy light right now, and I look pretty pasty. I don't really know if there's anything I can do to change that, so we're just gonna go with it. I have my coffee ready. I honestly don't even know if this is gonna be good. Okay, it's good. Nick? Can you do me a favor? I love you too. The first book that I read in December was near and dear to my heart, and it was Flock by Kate Stewart. It is a part of the Ravenhood series, and I'm pretty sure I read it like through November, but I finished it in December, so we're gonna count it for this one. I might have already talked about it in November, I don't really know, but we're going to talk about it now. So if you are not aware of what Flock and Exodus and The Finish Line are, they are a part of the Ravenhood series by Kate Stewart, and they're definitely more of like a suspenseful romance. They definitely give me like rated R Twilight vibes. It takes place in a place in, I believe, North Carolina called Triple Falls, and we follow Cecilia, who is this 19-year-old girl who has come to Triple Falls to live and work for her dad, because if she does, she will inherit quite a bit of money that can help her and her mom in the future. So that is kind of like her premise of going there. She doesn't really have a relationship with her dad, but she decides to go so she can benefit and have her mom benefit from inheriting a ton of money. And then when she goes for her first shift at her dad's plant, because it's like a factory that he owns, she meets Sean, and her and Sean end up having this relationship, and it's a very interesting relationship. I don't want to get too much into it, but I will say there are multiple relationships in this series, and it's just wild. But yeah, she is introduced to Sean, who has a few friends named Dominic, Tyler, and Russell, I believe. Russell's not really important. Mostly just Sean, Dominic, and Tyler. And she has different relationships with each of these guys. Not necessarily all of them are like romantic, but they kind of bring her into their circle, and they really open her eyes up to being a free spirit and living in the now, not being on your phone so much, all those things that I really like to read about and I'm inspired by. But there is a ton of spice in this book, so you have to prepare yourself for that, because I mean, I didn't really go into this knowing what it was about. I just kind of saw it, liked the idea of it, and read it. But yeah, there's a lot of spice, so prepare yourself for that. So I did give Flock a 5 out of 5. It was by far probably one of my favorite books of the year. I don't want to spoil anything, but the Ravenhood, which is like this group or gang, I don't even know how to describe it, that Sean and Dominic and all of them are a part of. They have this like premise that they want to get across and fight for their rights of something. I don't want to like spoil anything, but yeah, they're basically a group of people who are looking for justice on something, and I don't want to spoil it, but it just symbolized way more than I was expecting, and I really loved what they were standing up for, even though it seemed a little bit radical. And then I basically just wrote that Kate is able to be descriptive without being overbearing, and she allows the reader to feel like you're right beside Cecilia the entire way of her journey. So basically, if you're looking for a super spicy romance that has a lot of flawed characters, but they all have like good hearts and good intentions, I feel like this book is for you, because it's just, it was everywhere and I loved it. Next book is the one that we actually read for Lost in the Plot book club for December, and that it was In 5 Years by Rebecca Surley. This is the only physical book for my December wrap up I have, but as you can see, I definitely annotated quite a bit for the book club, and this book was good. I wouldn't say it was like my all-time favorite book or anything like that. I definitely enjoyed the way Rebecca Surley wrote the book. I feel like she did an excellent job at making it super accessible for a bunch of different people, but I am not really a fan of the fact that they advertise this as a romance, because while there was some romance in it, I feel like it was mostly about her relationship with her best friend Bella, and more of like a platonic relationship, which I found super sweet. Danny is like this hardworking lawyer who basically gets the job of her dreams, and she's just very like plan all the time, knows what she wants by this time in her life, all that stuff. And then her best friend Bella is like the complete opposite. She travels, she doesn't really work all the time, she falls in love, breaks up with people, like it's just stable versus unstable, I feel like. But their relationship is just so sweet. And then there's also something that happens in this book that really just is so sad. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read it, but something really sad happens to these characters, and if you're not aware of the entire premise of this book, basically Danny is engaged to someone, and then she goes to sleep in 2020 and wakes up in 2025 with a different ring on her finger from a fiance who is not the person she should be with, and in a different apartment, and she's just so confused. And I think that it's only for like an hour, and then she goes back to sleep and she's right back in 2020. So she's just like, whoa, was that a vision? Is this real? I don't really know. And so she just chooses to forget about it. 4.5 years go by, and the guy from her vision, and she's just like, it's a time. It was not what I was expecting. Believe me, I don't think anyone could really like predict what happens in this book, so that's a really great trait of it. But overall, yeah, I just thought that it was okay. There were a few things that went unanswered in my opinion, and we talk about a lot of that in the book club. So In 5 Years, it was good, not great. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I think after the book club meeting we had, I would probably give this a 3.5 out of 5. Next up is Exodus from the Ravenhood series. So I read this one right after In 5 Years because I just couldn't wait to pick up series again. Flock was definitely more about introducing the characters and all that spice. There is still a lot of spice in Exodus. However, I feel like we got so many answers that were unanswered in the first book. We also are introduced to Dominic's brother Tobias, who ends up being another love interest for Cecilia, and a lot of stuff just goes down in this book where you just want to cry for Cecilia, basically. There are so many secrets kept from her over her entire life, from her mom, her dad, all of these men that she's met over the last year. And I mean, overall, she ends up growing from it. But yeah, I don't want to spoil, like I said, because I just could not recommend this series enough. And then in my actual review, I just say the only thing that I didn't really like is that there was a decent amount of toxicity between her and her final love interest. I'm not going to say who. They both make mistakes, but the games they play, even at the cliffhanger at the end of this book, don't really seem the most healthy. And so I guess we'll just see what the finish line holds. I haven't read it yet, but I do know that a lot of the relationship things in this book are not meant to be that healthy. Like, it's definitely a twisted relationship. So I don't like the idea of it, but I understand it. And I'm pretty sure I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I love Kate's writing so much. And so much so that I didn't want to finish the series because I'm not ready to finish it. I was also not finished reading any of Kate Stewart's books. I really wanted to just keep reading her stuff. So I actually picked up one that came out on the day that I wanted to, like, I found it and I read it. I don't even know how this was advertised. I never saw it, but it is the Plight Before Christmas by Kate Stewart, and it was like the perfect timing. I think it came out on December 19th and I started reading it that night. It was adorable. We follow this girl named Whitney. She is at like a work party before her Christmas holiday, and basically she doesn't get a promotion over this guy who is just like buddy with their boss. So she's really upset because she deserves the promotion. Her car is like just crapping out. She needs to get a new one. Her love life is just non-existent, all these things. And so she doesn't really feel like life is going her way. Then when she goes to her family cabin for the holidays, she just like sees her siblings, her mom, her dad, all of that. And it's a really cute family story as well as a romance, because her brother ends up actually bringing a guy named Eli who he works with, and Eli is the one and only love that Whitney has ever had from
17 years ago.
It just like hits her really hard, and she has to deal with the fact that she has to hang out with him this entire holiday, not really knowing why he's there, if it's because of her or if you genuinely didn't know that was her family. We do actually get dual perspectives in this book, and I'm so happy about that because I was able to kind of get to know Whitney and Eli super well, and it talks about their past and what happened and why they broke up. And yeah, I've never really read a second chance romance before, so it was a really good time. Hello, my baby. And I don't want to spoil what happens in the end, but overall it was just such a cute holiday romance, and I would really recommend it. I rated this one a 4 out of 5, and I think I said the only reason this book isn't a 5 out of 5 is because the book was a little bit slow burn. Like, it was almost perfect, but there was just a little bit too much extra angst and slow burn for me. So like up until around 200 or 250 pages, I just felt a little bit tired at points. I don't want to say that that made the book bad. It didn't at all, obviously. I gave it a 4 out of 5. But I just feel like it had me a little bit bored sometimes. And then once the ending finally came, it totally made up for it. I loved the epilogue. I loved how everything ended up. And I just like really loved the idea of Eli being with her family and wanting his seat at the table. And it was a cute story. So you should definitely go pick that one up. I'm gonna have some coffee and then we're gonna move on to the books that I plan on reading in January. Okay, I have more physical copies. The first book that I've already started reading and that I'm so excited to continue reading the series of is A Court of Thorns and Roses. Guys, this is my first fantasy book I've probably ever read. I'm so excited. I already really enjoy it. I'm only on like chapter 3 or chapter 4 actually. This book, I don't even know how to describe it. I'll just read the back for you guys because like I said, I'm not really a fantasy reader and I don't want to get like terms wrong and stuff. But our character is Fair, and Fair is a huntress. The skin of a wolf could bring enough gold to feed her sisters for a month, but the life of a magical creature comes at a steep price, and Fair has just killed the wrong wolf. Taken prisoner by a high fae lord, Fair learns that her masked captor is hiding even more than his piercing gaze suggests. But as Fair's feelings for Tamlin begin to burn through every warning she's heard about his kind, a shadow is falling across the land. And if Fair cannot fight it, she will lose everything. So I've already gotten to the point at the very beginning where she kills this wolf and she kills the wrong wolf. I don't know exactly what that means yet, but I have already really enjoyed the writing of this book. It is definitely a long one. It is about, you know, it's 420 pages. That's honestly not that long. But if you know anything about this series, you know that the next 2 books and the last book are so long. So I'm excited to eventually get through this. It'll probably take me a while over the span of the entire year. But yes, nonetheless, this is what I'm reading right now. And I'm so happy. The next book that I plan on reading, and the book that is actually January's book club pick for Lost in the Plot, is False Witness by Karen Slaughter. I have never read a single Karen Slaughter book, and I totally thought I did. I own one for sure, but this is, I guess, gonna be my first Karen Slaughter. It is a large book, like not the length, but literally like the size of my head. So I'm really excited to read this. I am usually a huge fan of these types of pages. I don't even know what they're called, but I love the way this book feels holding it. So the front says, He saw what you did. He knows who you are. And I will read the summary for you guys. It says, an ordinary life. Lee Collier has worked hard to build what looks like a normal life. She's an up-and-coming defense attorney at a prestigious law firm in Atlanta, would do anything for her 16-year-old daughter Maddie, and is managing to successfully co-parent through a pandemic after an amicable separation from her husband Walter. Hides a devastating past, but Lee's ordinary life masks a childhood no one should have to endure. A childhood tarnished by secrets, broken by betrayal, and ultimately destroyed by a brutal act of violence. But now the past is catching up. On a Sunday night at her daughter's school play, she gets a call from one of the firm's partners, who wants Lee to come on board to defend a wealthy man accused of multiple counts of rape. Though wary of the case, it becomes apparent that she doesn't have much choice if she wants to keep her job. They're scheduled to go to trial in 1 week. When she meets the accused face to face, she realizes that it's no coincidence that he specifically asked for her to represent him. She knows him, and he knows her. More to the point, he may know what happened over 20 years ago and why Lee has spent 2 decades avoiding the past. And time is running out. Suddenly, she has a lot more to lose than this case. The only person who can help her is her younger and strange sister, Callie, the last person Lee would ever want to drag into all of this after what they've been through. But the life-shattering truth in danger of being revealed, she has no choice. It's a really, really long synopsis, and it sounds insanely interesting. So I'm really, really excited to read this, discuss it with the book club. If you are not a part of the book club and want to be, I will leave a link down below for you guys to sign up for my email list, and you can start voting for each month's book pick and join the book club, because it's a really good time. The first one was honestly more successful than I anticipated, and I'm really happy about that. And the next book that I plan on reading is, you know, we gotta add some Colleen Hoover in here. I'm gonna be reading It Ends With Us. I have been wanting to read this for a really long time. I think my boyfriend got this for me like 4 months ago now or something. Long time ago. Been really wanting to read it. Everyone I've talked to about this book says that it makes them cry, and I feel like after reading a fantasy and a thriller, I'm just gonna be in the mood for a little romance. So if you guys are not aware of what this book is, once again, I will read the back. So it says, sometimes the one who loves you is the one who hurts you the most. Lily hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. She's come a long way from the small town in Maine where she grew up. She graduated from college, moved to Boston, and started her own business. So when she feels a spark with a gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid, everything in Lily's life suddenly seems almost too good to be true. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, maybe even a little arrogant. He's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily, but Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing. As questions about her new relationship overwhelm her, so do thoughts of Atlas Corrigan, her first love and a link to the past she left behind. He was her kindred spirit, her protector. When Atlas suddenly reappears, everything Lily has built with Ryle is threatened. With this bold and deeply personal novel, Colleen Hoover delivers a heart-wrenching story that breaks exciting new ground for her as a writer. It died, and I don't know where. How could you?
I'm very sorry. My apologies.
So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. And if you haven't read it yet, I would probably recommend it already, because everyone I know has given it like a 5 out of 5. My battery is about to die, so let's finish this up. Alright guys, that is it for this video. An honorable mention I have is I might read The Finish Line, which is the last book of the Ravenhood, but we'll see. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe if you are new here, and comment down below any suggestions you guys might have. All of my socials are in the description if you want to follow me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
There's a baby. There's a baby.